and welcome to the Southside Health Center show. One, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. This is a live call-in show. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please give us a call here at the station. It is of most vital importance that you guys tune in today. This is really important. As we begin to talk about our mentoring program at the Southside Health Center, I'm trying to get set up here, guys, to make sure that I can get you everybody in here. It's really, really important that we're able to focus and we're able to talk about realistically how are we going to begin to save our youth? How are we going to begin to, there's so many different things that we have to do. Again, so we're going to go live, you guys. This is a live call-in show. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please, by all means, give us a call here at the station. This is such vital information that we're going to talk about today. One of the things that I want to do is, first, let me say thank you to the Southside Health Center. The Southside Health Center has now been around for about 32, 33 years. Betty Smith is the founder of the agency. She founded the agency back in 1987. Vanessa Smith, who is our executive director now, she continues to uphold and the vision and the dreams of Miss Betty Smith. And it is such an exciting and amazing thing to be a part of what the Southside Health Center is. Guys, I'm trying to make sure we got everything right because it's so important that we get this message out. I want to make sure that people understand what we are doing at the Southside Health Center. What we're doing is we have a number of different programs. HIV prevention and education is our number one focus. We do HIV prevention. We do free HIV testing. We got 2 mobile units out there on the street, so we go all over the city of Chicago to do HIV testing and counseling. So it's vital that we continue to do that in our communities and bring those numbers down, keep our community healthy. So HIV prevention is our number one priority. But we have just many other services that we provide at the Southside Health Center. One of the services I want to talk about today is going to be our mentoring programs. The reason it is so vitally important that these mentoring programs go forth, that it is so vitally important that we have a community come together to begin to help and heal the community. All you got to do is go on the TV or go check out weekly. You could, at the end of the weekend, you can go and check out how many people were shot over the weekend, how many people were killed over the weekend in the city of Chicago, and the numbers will blow your mind. We know as it gets warmer, things kind of ramp up. So it's vital that we as a community come together to figure out how we stop some of the violence in our community. How do we stop some of the murders? How do we stop and begin to heal our community? It is so vitally important. And I'm being extremely transparent here today about the mentoring programs that Southside has to offer. One of the things that I realized, and this is a quote from Carter G. Woodson. If the quotes are not exactly the quotes, then please look them up. So I'll give you the gist of the quote. One of the things he talked about, if you control a man's mind, you don't have to worry about his actions. Let me say that again. Let me show you a few of the things I got up here with me today. I want to make sure that we get these things on here. He say, if you control a man's mind, you don't have to worry about his actions. So that means if we get in your head deep enough, if we control your thinking, we don't got to worry about your actions. We know what you're going to do. We as a people, when I say this, this is the job or the task we have before us. We have to figure out how to change a mindset. We talk about doing prevention and intervention. Let me say this. The younger we get them, the better we get them. We can do some real prevention. What does that mean? Prevent them from becoming a part of this process. Prevent them from learning this, and then we don't have to go back to undo. Most of what we do as prevention specialists, as mentors, we got to undo some stuff before we can begin to do some things. This is vital, and it's very, very difficult. Brother Keith, how are you, sir? I see you out there, David. Thank you. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. It is vital that we start to change the way we think. We have to make sure that we're doing prevention as well as intervention. Again, Southside Health Center has been out here doing prevention and intervention for a very long time. I'm very grateful to the agency because it has given me an opportunity to be able to share with so many of our young brothers. It has given me an opportunity to learn so much with Betty Smith and Vanessa Smith and the Southside Health Center staff for years. This prevention thing is so vital to me. It's like if we don't take interest in our own community, no one else will. we're going to be doing an open house on the 12th of February. This is going to be an open house. It'll take place from 4 to 6. Mothers, fathers, help us help you. Bring the kids in. We're having an open house. We're going to have refreshments. We're going to have the board members there. We're going to have as many mentors as we can get and as many mentees. If you would like for your kids to sign up, bring them on the 12th. We'll sign them up. Our first actual workshop will take place 2 weeks from that. Again, we'll be every second and fourth Saturday of the month. We'll go from 4 to 6 at the Southside Help Center. Thank you to Ms. Tasia. Ms. Tasia is the program coordinator and director for the youth down at the Southside Help Center. She has allowed us the opportunity to be a part of what we can do to make a difference in our kids' community and our kids' lives. I brought a couple of these boards in here. One of the reasons I brought a couple of these boards in here, I need to give y'all a real insight of what we're going to be looking to do in terms of how we're going to provide the necessary service. I mean, we have to be innovative in our thought process. We have to be innovative in how we teach. We have to be innovative in not only how do we prevent, but how do we intervene in some of these situations. One of the things I think about Carter G. Woodson, yet again, the miseducation of the Negro. This is what you see here. This is what this book from. If you notice, the mind is locked up. The Miseducation of the Negro is a major, it's an amazing book. Carter G. Woodson, some of the quotes that he have in there blow your mind. One of the things he said, he talked about us as African Americans. If you train us or teach us the right way, meaning if you train us or teach us to go into the back door, we'll go to the back door. And if we go to the back and there is no door, we'll make one. Let me say that again. It talks about us, once you get our minds in a certain place as African Americans, it says if we train you, teach you, guide you, direct you to go through that back door, and you get back there and ain't no back door, you'll make one. Now these are quotes. I'm paraphrasing quotes, so don't quote me on the quote. Check it out yourself. It's in The Miseducation of the Negro, which is one of these books that we got up here. This particular board we're speaking about now, it talks about a book. What is about a book? About a book speaks to how and the lessons that we teach our children. And why do we teach our children the lessons that we teach? This is vital. Why is this so vital, Mr. Cherry? One, because if we look at this came about because my daughter, we was in a group, and it talked about turning the other cheek. You know, if somebody slap you, what do? Well, you're supposed to turn the other cheek. The reality of it is, one of my daughters say, well, Daddy, you've been teaching us for the last 7, 8 years. If somebody slap you, you slap them back. And she was right. And I'm like, well, now how do I argue a point when this girl is right? I say, so I have to think about the lessons that are being taught. Well, why are you teaching your children if someone slapped them back or slapped them for you to slap them back? We're looking at environment. We're looking at, one, how we're raised. We're looking at why we're raised the way that we're raised. I look at, hopefully won't nobody be slapping them so they don't have to slap them back. But the lessons that we teach, I believed in that. If someone slap you back. The reality of it is, I'm going to, as I learn more, I teach more. As I learn different, I teach different. Now, I'm not saying let somebody slap you and you don't slap them back. The first thing may not be to react or to slap them back. You might want to do something different. If we don't start putting pieces in place for our young people, how do we expect them to behave a different way when no one has taught them? One of the things we do is we got an anger management workshop that I do. Let me just tell y'all about this anger management workshop and why is it vitally important that as we talk about anger management, what does that mean? Everyone says that our children, African American males, let me say that, we go from 0 to 10 in a matter of seconds. You go into any of our schools, you know, even with law enforcement, but Brother Keith, law enforcement, y'all know how so many of us, the moment something happens, we get angry, we fly off the handle. We go from 0 to 10 in a matter of seconds. And this happens in our schools every day. You go into the schools, you got a lot of kids in detention, you got a lot of kids in the office, you got a lot of kids being expelled or barred from the school system because they have anger issues. And this is the thing that so many people miss. Now say you're going from 0 to 10. Let's just say 0 to 10. So this is 10, this is 0, this is 10. Once you get to 10, most of the times, if you don't stop nowhere in the middle, you get to the X factor. What are X factors? X factors mean that if you go from 0 to 10, you might, 1, kill someone. That's an X factor. 2, you might, 1, be killed. That's an X factor. 2, you might wind up in a penitentiary. That's an X factor. I had a young brother, I was talking to him. He was 37 years old, and he had just told me he had just been out on the street for 2 weeks. I said, wow. I said, well, how long were you locked up? He told me 20 years. He had been locked up for 20 years. When he was 17, he made a mistake in an instant. I mean, he went from 0 to 10 in an instant, and he killed someone. And he wound up doing 20 years of his life, 20 straight calendars. He went from 0 to 10. One of the things we have to think about is the X factors that are in there when our kids are talking about 0 to 10 at the school. But one of the things we also have to realize, this is a part of our anger management that I'm talking about, and we're going to go through a number of different things when we're talking about our mentoring program. The mentoring programs last several weeks. With that, we're going to have a series of workshops: violence prevention, substance abuse prevention, by the book. What does that mean? Anger management, anger control. What does that mean? Fertilization, 1 and 2. What does that mean? Cultivation, 1 and 2. What does that mean? Well, we want to explain to you what that means. When we start talking about the workshops that we want to present, when you look at an anger management, you look at an African American kid, and we say they go from 0 to 10. What people miss all the time is our kids, normally they don't go from 0 to 10. Most of our kids get to school on 5. Let me say that again. Most of our kids get to school, they're already on 5. That means they're not going from 0 to 10. By the time they get to school, if they have to deal, 1, with gangs, that puts them at a 2. That means they had to battle just to get to school. 3, they may have to deal with bullying. That puts them at 3. So therefore, when they get to school, they're already on a 3. We deal with poverty issues where they may not have eaten last night. That might put them on the 4. Then we got to look at abusive situations in households. That put them on the 5. So by the time they get to school, they're not at 0. They're already on a 5, and it don't take nothing to set them off. Our kids react and not respond. So we have to teach them, how do you react? Or how do you respond instead of react? A reaction may get you 20 years in the penitentiary. But if you have an opportunity to respond to a situation, you may have an opportunity to think. So that's why we talk about put some steps in there. So from 1 through 5, we have to add steps for our young people, meaning you have to teach them if this happens. Let's, for instance, say you got a situation where you're being bullied. You have to say, look, you have to teach them to report this. Let's knock it off with that stop stitching nonsense. If someone is bullying you, you have to report it. What does that do when you report it? If you report it, it gets half the burden off of you because now someone knows that there's a situation. That could be step 1. Step 2 is you may have to report it again because they didn't believe you the first time. So that might be step 2. Step 3, tell whomever it is that you have confided in, be it a principal, be it a police, be it your parents, someone, look, if this happens again, my response is going to be this. Now you put someone on notice. If you put these steps in, by the time you get to 5, you get what? You get power. You get power to do what? Power to think. We have to figure out, how do we get our kids not only from 5, because again, y'all think they're going from 0 to 10 when the reality of it is a lot of them get to school already on 5. How do we get them back to 0? This is what our mentoring programs are focusing on. We want to make sure that we're teaching people how to respond properly. How do we teach our young men? How do we teach our young men? How do we give our young men guidance so that they're not reacting adversely, or they're not becoming violent? What do? We as a community, we as men have to step in. That's why I'm seeking mentors. Guys who are really interested in helping change the dynamic of the future of our young people. I need real guys that's going to commit. I need guys that's going to commit. I'm talking about 1 or 2 hours a month. I'm not asking you for no whole lot of time, but don't tell me you want to be a part of the solution and you can't find, 60 minutes to come in and show these young brothers that there are some good men out here, that there are some real men out here, that there are some real fathers out here, that there are some real guys who cared. One of the young mentors I had, he said the one thing that kept him coming was, he said he believed that we cared. You'll be surprised how many of our young men are just longing for real attention from real men. And that just means real guidance. Somebody to say that this is all right. Somebody to say that this is a direction. Somebody to help them up or hold them up when need be. One of the things we do as African Americans, we start off teaching our children impossibilities. The first thing we do, if our boys fall, we tell them shut up and be a man. Well, that's an impossibility for a boy. How can a boy be a man? But this is how we start the process of programming. If you tell your boys when they get hurt, shut up, be a man, be strong. Well, guess what? You can't tell a boy to be a man. It's an impossibility. We have to begin to teach our young men, one, it's all right not only to be hurt, it's all right to cry. It's all right to show and have emotions. Because if you harden his heart now, what do you think he's going to do when he becomes a man? If he don't know how to love, how do we give love? We miss that as men. We as real men know that it's all right for us to cry. We as real men know that it's all right to teach our boys that, look, you only going to be a boy for maybe 16, 17 years. You have to let them be that. He's going to be a man a whole lot longer than he's going to be a boy. If you don't allow our children to be that, then we harden their hearts and they become some other things like what we're preparing them for. And that might be the penitentiary. That's another workshop that we do. We talk about the penal system. We talk about the Willie Lynch. What does that look like? But how is it that so many of our children became so programmed so early? Brothers and sisters, I'm pleading with you. Southside Help Center has been doing this work for a long time. We have saved a lot of kids, but we've also lost a lot. I lost my own son to the streets. My son was killed in the streets. He was stabbed 8 times. He's 23 years old, gone. Went to the hospital. This one was stabbed. The other one was stabbed as well, being worked on. I'm saying this to say what? Even though we as men, we have to come together. I was not a good father. Let me say that again. I was not a good father. I was an extraordinary father. There every day from the time they came from the womb. But this is my cry. It's as men, one, I can teach them right from wrong, choices and options, morals and values. They still got to make good decisions. But if we give them what they're supposed to have, then that decision is on them and not on us. If they don't know no better, that's on us, brothers. If all they know is one thing, that's on us, brothers. Because we not stepping up to the plate to let them know you got options, young brother. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. We're going back to the anger management real quick. I'm talking about what these workshops entail, why these workshops are vital, how these workshops begin to save lives. We as fathers, we as grandfathers, some of us got grandkids. We know that what we did when we were kids was not right, but we didn't have nobody to teach us or tell us nothing different. Now it's up to us as men, as grandfathers, to come up and say, look, there is a different way to go about doing this, man. And share your experience. I'm not looking for all perfect men. I'm looking for those brothers who made mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and willing to share and teach and guide on how not to make the same mistakes you made. Learn from other people's mistakes so you don't have to make them all yourselves. Southside Help Center is an amazing organization. I say that I've been with this organization now for just about 25 years. I've seen a lot of kids come and go. What keeps me coming is brothers like Mr. Keith Parks. Let me say his name because he is a phenomenal young brother. He's right now the chief of police in the state of Estelle, North Carolina. He's the chief of police. I remember that kid. We got a wanted post on that kid. That kid was jumping out of windows, throwing pennies and hitting people in the eye. And, he blew up the campsite. That brother's chief of police right now. I'm saying that to say we never gave up on him. Southside Help Center has been around for a long time doing a lot of good things. We've had a lot of kids that we've saved. We had a lot of kids that we've lost. With the mentoring program the Southside Help Center is offering, we call it the Urban Scouts. With the mentoring program that we're offering, we're going to be teaching about miseducation of the Negro. How do we reprogram and deprogram our young brothers? How do we begin to start the process of programming them, teaching those young brothers who are coming up what is right from wrong? We don't want them to have a distorted sense of right and wrong. We have to teach one, each one teach one. We got to make sure that we're dealing with the substance abuse. This is the other board you see back here. Right now, y'all know with all of the things they got going on with pharmaceutical, marijuana, and everything else, it's like so many missed messages being sold and told to our young people. We're dealing with a lot of the edibles. The drugs have changed. They got legal lean. You see on the board, they got legal lean. They selling you lean right over the counter. A lot of our celebrities come on. I talk about how they have on Giuseppe's and they have on all of these expensive Gucci, and in their hand they got a double styrofoam cup. What is that but promoting the use of substances that's keeping us down? It's keeping us down as a people. We can go back to the early 80s when the crack epidemic hit and how it damaged us so badly and how we're still getting residuals effects from that. We want to talk about how do we teach our kids coping skills. This is what we're trying to do. We're looking at, yes, sometime it may be, we may not be able to change their circumstances right now. So what we have to do is teach them how to cope. We have to teach them life skills. I talked about in my anger management class on Tuesday, working out of District 150, and one of the things we talked about dealing with anger management is that what is it at home that makes you so angry? As a young brother, as a young sister, one of the things we talk about is, look, yeah, your mother is angry. Well, That's because you didn't take out the garbage. Well, coping skills and putting these different anger management mechanisms in. If you know your mother gonna pop off about you not doing the dishes or taking out the garbage, well, just do it before she have an opportunity to say something to you. We want you to start looking at what you can do differently. We have to put in mechanisms to save our young people. That means we're dealing with coping skills. We're dealing with life skills. We're talking about not only anger management, we're talking about substance abuse. We're talking about bullying, cyberbullying, what we can do to make changes in their lives, in our lives. This program is vital. Let me say again, we got an open house coming up February the 12th. Please, by all means, come to the Southside Help Center. We're located 10420 South Halsted. Go to our website, look at it, www.southsidehelp.org. Go to the website, come to this open house, see what we're talking about, parents. Come on out, brothers, if you have time to become a mentor. Check it out. Fill out an application. We're doing background checks. Let me tell you that now. Come and fill out an application, and if you can donate the time, man, donate the time. We're also looking to be independent. If it's something you can do to help us one way or another, come on out. Southside Help Center has been around now for 30-some years. We're not going anywhere. We've been providing quality services. We need more people to help to support our community. We have a wonderful mentoring program. Parents, bring out the kids. Kids, come on out. Check out what we're offering at the Southside Help Center. It's going to be a wonderful thing. I'll be back on again on Wednesday. Let someone know. We're going to do a real good anger management, really quick anger management course. So please check back in on Wednesday, 5:30. We would really like to thank everyone for tuning in. We have run out of time. Until we see you again, we bid you peace.